Hello, my name is Megan Bullard, and today I'm going to be interviewing my dear friend Georgia Costa.
Hello.
She is an immigrant from Brazil there because she was born there and moved to the United States at age 6. We are pretty similar compared to gender, age, and normal living. We're good friends here attending Western Washington University together. The big difference is she was born in Brazil. All right, Georgia. Let's begin this interview. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, my name is Georgia Costa. I am 19 years young. I attend Western, and I have lived in the U.S. for about 12 years now. 13.
Very cool. What was the process of moving from Brazil to the United States like? What did it entail, and did you face any challenges?
Well, I was super young when I moved from São Paulo, Brazil, to the U.S. I moved to Renton, I remember, and what made the change happen was that we were visiting my aunt on vacation, I remember, for like a couple weeks, and then we just decided to stay there permanently. So then we ended up getting an apartment in Renton, and I remember I learned the language super well. I spoke
Have you been speaking English since you were born? That was one of your...
No. I started learning it when I got to the U.S.
Okay.
I got an apartment in Renton, and then I started going to school here, and by that point, my English is really well, because at a young age, you can learn different languages really easily because your brain is still developing.
Yes.
So yeah, my process was really easy, and honestly, I kind of, not forgot that I was Brazilian, but I kind of just accepted that I was, American now, and, totally just accustomed to the American culture. So that made it really easy.
Did you think that, changed your family's, culture? Do you still have Brazilian culture aspects in your life, or did you completely transition over to
Well,
America?
what happened was, while I was, from age 6 to, freshman or sophomore year of high school, I just was really focused on just being American, and I really wanted to get side bangs and have braces when I was in high school and stuff, and I was obsessed with the Jonas Brothers, and just forgot all my Portuguese and focused on speaking English better, and eventually just became totally adapted to American culture. But then sophomore year of high school, I was like, dang, I need to change my life up. And then I was like, okay, I'll go study abroad in Brazil for 6 months. So I went and stayed with my godparents, essentially, and I stayed there for 6 months and learned by listening, and then in the last month or so I became fluent, and then that made me realize that how much I love Brazilian culture, and I kind of prefer it there than I do here, and I prefer Portuguese as more than English.
Would you say it was a big change in culture when you moved here, and that's why you're so fascinated in it and wanted to engulf yourself in it, and then you came back?
Culture when I came
to
when
the
I
United
was
States,
6.
it was a whole different thing you wanted to be a part of, and then looking back at Brazil, yeah.
Well, there's huge culture differences in both. I think when I moved here when I was 6, I was like, oh hell yeah, the USA, because I feel like other countries see, well, maybe not now because of our president, but other countries see the US as oh, the best country in the world, everyone speaks English now, McDonald's and Hollywood and all that stuff. But when I went back to Brazil, I realized that, I don't know, that stuff is not that important to me.
Over your life, what have you and your family done to keep in touch with your family in Brazil? How have you incorporated parts of their culture and traditions into your new United States lifestyle?
Well, my dad doesn't talk to his family that much, but we usually visit every 2 to 4 years. I stay in touch with my cousin who's 2 years younger than me, and we're super close. But everyone else is kind of like a lot of them live in like rural Brazil. Ways to stay in touch. I didn't really give much effort when I was like super into being American and stuff, and my idols were like Britney Spears, but then like ever since I went back there and spent 6 months there, I try to keep in touch with them a lot now, and it's working. And I speak Portuguese at home, so and ever since like that really helped my fluency. And also on Christmas we all open our presents on Christmas Eve, which is Brazilian tradition. And yeah, I mean, if we talk in Portuguese all the time, my family and I, then we pretty much do a lot of Brazilian things.
Makes sense. Also, having your roommate was also a fluent Portuguese speaker this year also. That's a cool way to incorporate.
Yeah, she was from the same city as me, and actually was born in Ireland and then lived in São Paulo and then moved here. But anyways, she is even better at Portuguese than me, and I would say actually probably like practices the culture a lot more, because her parents, because my mom is American. She's like from Kennewick, Washington, and my dad's from Belo Horizonte in Brazil, which he lived for like 50 years. So I definitely have like two separate cultures to like juggle, which I love. But both her parents are from São Paulo, Brazil, so they like always speak Portuguese and like really probably visit Brazil more. But she definitely encouraged me to like stay in touch with my Brazilian side. She would always play Brazilian music, and we would just, there's just like a whole different mannerism of how humans like communicate with each other. Like we were really affectionate toward each other, because like when Brazilians greet each other, we like hug and kiss like on the cheek, of course.
That's very different than our traditions
so
here in America.
different.
Yeah, I've even noticed that as being your friend, different when I'm with her family. The
Yeah.
differences, and like, I mean, it's a cool thing to experience, and like I'll be there and you get Frida and Pedro just talking Portuguese, and
Yeah.
it's cool. First moved to the US, did you feel like you fit in? What were the major differences you noticed between the two cultures?
I remember I first moved here, and like I had a Dora backpack in kindergarten. I remember I fit in really well in kindergarten. I went to like Renton Christian school. I grew up Catholic. I'm not Catholic, but anyways, but then I remember I moved to like a public elementary school from like 1st grade to 3rd grade, and I remember like I would always wear like really, as a little girl, I would wear like really short like jean skirts and like wear shirts that said like drama queen, and I was like super loud and just like not used to, there's kind of like, well, there's this thing called the Seattle Freeze. It's kind of in Renton too.
I've really heard of that.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
It's like people in Seattle are like reserved and kind of like keeps themselves like in public. Like,
okay.
no one
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
I have. Okay,
right?
yeah.
And so I kind of experienced that in like the suburbs of Seattle. Being born in Brazil, I feel like definitely makes me different than a lot of people. I've had a lot of different experiences, and I feel like I kind of like carry the culture around with me in a place of where a lot of people speak, this doesn't make me superior at all, by the way, but a place where a lot of people are monolingual. And like I remember my dad was like, yeah, people who have never had contact with a foreigner are like, they don't know what to do, you know.
Yeah, they're a little ignorant about it, you know, in our
Yeah,
country.
and
I mean,
like you can't really
I'm
blame
not,
them, because we don't like super, it's not so encouraged.
Well, I've had some I'm not multilingual. I only know English. I know a little bit of Spanish from high school, but I definitely couldn't have a full fluent conversation with a Spanish-speaking person like you can, which is cool. You can continue.
So my values that are important to me, I don't think like Brazil has influenced any of my values. Like my family is like, well, I don't think they are anymore because my grandparents are dead, but I think I'm pretty sure they were like evangelical Catholics. I don't, like conservative. My dad was conservative, and like recently has become, I don't know, he used to be libertarian. I'm pretty sure he's liberal now. But yeah, I've pretty much remained always liberal, and I think that was just influenced by like Seattle and where I live.
Interesting. All right, for my final question, I was just going to ask you if you have any interesting stories that could help us gain a better insight of what it's like to migrate to another country.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so he moved here when he was 50, basically when I was 5, so he could raise me in the U.S., because I think there's just better opportunities for me to flourish than São Paulo, Brazil. Let's see. Well, he had, before he became a citizen, an official U.S. citizen, he would, like, go into the airport and, like, cross, I don't know, like, from Brazil to the U.S., right? And then
Customs.
Customs, yeah. And the people were just, like, so suspicious and just, like, a little excessive in the way that, and, like, really precarious about just, like, him, because he was an immigrant and didn't have, and, like, sometimes he'd be, like, detained for, like, 2 hours and not able to, like, catch his other flight because they were so suspicious of him. But now that he has gained citizenship, they literally, like, look at him and be like, "Welcome home, Pedro," and, like, that's it, and then he just goes. And
it's a big difference when you're citizenship.
Yeah, legally and just like in societal aspect, because he has a really strong accent, so people are always like, "Oh, where are you from?" like whenever he speaks, and like make it very apparent that he's an alien.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a cool story to share. Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you today, Georgia. I hope this helped. It helped me and others gain a better understanding of the life of an immigrant.
I really enjoyed our discourse.
Thanks.
And